Oh, so Roar was not the person that I used to be. I wanted to blend in, be invisible, and play it safe. Because I had a secret that had such a grip over me, it controlled my choices, my actions, my self-worth. I felt I was different from all the other people in a fake, imposter kind of way. And adding to my insecurity is my name. It's hard for people to say Meriel, M-E-R-I-E-L. I used to say it rhymed with Ariel, like on a car. Cars don't have Ariels anymore. So thank goodness for the Disney princess Ariel. So Meriel, Ariel, Ariel, Meriel. Got it. Back to my secret. With my deep secret, I built a protective shield around myself, and I went on a safe, predefined journey from high school to university into pharmacy. I protected that secret for 19 years, until one night when I did something absolutely terrifying. It was at the end of my first year in pharmacy, and one of my pharmacy colleagues and I, we were having wine and chatting. She was talking about her life. Like, she had done some really off-path things. And while she was talking, I was thinking to myself about my life at this point. I had followed a safe and narrow path. I had a good life and a good future. But in listening to her and all the chances that she had taken, I was thinking to myself, I have to say something that's going to shock her. And in that moment, I made a decision to step out of my secret protective zone shield and risk being totally vulnerable to however she might respond. I still remember it. I took a deep breath, my hands were clenched, my heart was pounding like it is right now, and it felt like I was opening up the zipper of my soul and exposing the fake and unworthy me. And I said the words, I am adopted. And then nothing, like no shock, no big reaction, she just said like, oh yeah, and she just kept on talking. And I'm thinking, like, seriously, that was my biggest, darkest secret in the world, and that was how she reacted? Interestingly, though, that despite her reaction, the reaction within myself was absolutely profound. Like, I felt freed. I felt like a huge burden had been lifted from my soul. And soon thereafter, I came to the powerful realization that pharmacy was not for me. The day I dropped out, I broke into hives. I'd never had them before. I've never had them since. I took the bus home from Saskatoon to Regina. My parents drove me back to Saskatoon 3 times, but I wouldn't stay. Like, it was a terrible, really emotional time. I actually went into a depression. But then I was out looking for jobs, and nothing felt right. I got a job at a bank, and I was going up the ladder, but still, something didn't feel right. And then one night, I was at a university presentation called Real Estate Home Buying Laws and Procedures. But it was during that presentation that I knew that was what I wanted to do. So I quickly signed up for the course, and a few months later, I left the bank and went right into real estate. That was in 1981. I was 23 years old. I knew nothing about building a real estate business. The interest rates were 18% and going up. People were locking in their 5-year mortgages at 23%. Inventory was at an all-time high. Like, my parents were distraught, and people were saying I was crazy. But I knew I wanted to be in control of my own destiny, and I knew I wanted to help people to the best of my ability. I built my business around for sale by owners. There wasn't actual training, there were books and cassette tapes, but the real training was taking action, learning from mistakes. Other realtors would say, don't waste your time with people, they're mean, yada, yada. I didn't listen to that. I knocked on their doors, called them daily, and my business started growing. And then as business practices and technology changed, I would adapt. It didn't matter if the weekly catalogs that we used to get were stopped, and we had to learn how to use computers, or the internet was coming and the realtors were bailing because the public wouldn't need us anymore, or FSBOs were taking over the market, like they even had a FSBO website. But I believe that nothing can replace the value that we bring to our clients if we believe in our own value. Thank you. So, also, after revealing my secret, I knew I wanted to meet my birth mother, to find out if I looked like her, and to thank her for the sacrifice that she made by putting me up for adoption. In 1982, I contacted Social Services Post-Adoption Agency, and 2 years later, in 1984, they contacted me to say that they had found my birth mother. She said no one knew about me. When she had me, she was 19 years old, and her mother had said that this, being me, was never to be spoken of again. Then she said she was married, she had 3 children. The secret of me could never be revealed. I was devastated, and then I felt that my whole self, my existence, was being rejected and denied. Then I let those feelings go because my real motive was to thank her. And then my life went in a direction that I never expected. In the fall of 2004, at 18 years old, my own daughter, Sarah, came to me and told me she was pregnant. I walked in the living room, sat in a chair, and my son Jared, who was 12 at the time, he's looking at me like, "Mom, are you meditating?" Here I was experiencing what my birth mother's mother had experienced, her daughter telling her she was pregnant at 18. I said to Sarah that if she really wanted to give her baby the best life possible, she should consider adoption. My birth mother made that sacrifice for me. But Sarah was determined that she was going to keep the baby, and that baby was Kaylee. She was born prematurely, weighing 2 pounds, 8 ounces. When Kaylee was 2 days old, Sarah called from the hospital and said, "Mom, Kaylee's in distress. She's dying. They're air ambulancing her to Saskatoon. Come and pick me up. We have to drive there." The doctors told us it was a very grave situation. They would do the best they could. Kaylee had a hole in her intestine and was being poisoned by bile. They cut her open at 2 pounds, 4 ounces to repair the hole. 99 days in the hospital, 9 blood transfusions. They called it the neonatal roller coaster. Sarah could name 27 doctors that cared for Kaylee. They called her Feisty Fighter and Miracle Baby. We couldn't hold her because she had so many machines and tubes. I looked at her so many times through that glass in the isolette, and she was fighting for life. She became my teacher. If she fought so hard to live, then life is clearly a gift to be cherished, despite any challenges or adversities. Thank you. So now we fast forward to 2013. I was meeting with a FSBO couple. They listed their home with me, and then they casually mentioned that their neighbor, Bev, had said she might be interested in selling. So I walked over, knocked on her door, did a quick walkthrough with her, and then I said, "So what do you do?" And she said, "Oh, I just retired from social services." And I said, "Oh, what department?" She said, "Post-adoptive agency." I told her about my adoption and my birth mother's secret. Long story short, Bev asked to review my adoption file. She did some deep checking on the internet, and she found my birth mother's obituary. She had died in 2010. Sadly, I did not have the chance to thank my birth mother, and she died with that secret. But then Bev Googled my birth mother's son's name. She found a phone number for him. I decided to call him. Hardest cold call I have ever made. I got the number wrong the first time. It was a fax machine. It's like, "Ugh!" And so then I dialed it again, and he answered. He was totally blindsided, but he listened. And he asked me to send a picture. So I sent my picture. He said I looked exactly like one of his sisters. Social services confirmed, and I had found my DNA family. They embraced me, my children, and my grandchildren. Yeah. So at age 60, everything was good. I had successfully found my birth family, and I had found my passion in life through being a realtor for 37 years. The last 29 of those were with RE/MAX. I loved my broker, the company, and the people I worked with. And then, near the end of 2018, an acquaintance of mine sent me a 7-minute video with a mechanical voice talking about some random real estate company that had 17,000 agents and was growing like wildfire. It was in the States, BC, Alberta, and Ontario. But halfway through, I knew that that was for me. EXP wasn't open in Saskatchewan. To open required me finding 3 other realtors and a broker to commit to joining. People were telling me I should retire, be comfortable. Ugh. So we pioneered the opening of EXP Realty in Saskatchewan on May the 13th, 2019, and we have not looked back. Glenn, this is where you have to put your head up. Our founder, Glenn Sanford, says, if it's not broke, break it. I actually sent him a message in workplace chat, you know, and he responded, always, right? Within like 20 minutes, he said, if it's not broke, break it. So, if it's not broke, break it. My life was not broken for the first 19 years. I didn't have to share my secret, and I could have stayed in pharmacy. My life at my previous brokerage wasn't broken. I could have stayed there. I could have had a safe, nice path life with my protective shield instead of taking chances, being vulnerable, being rejected, experiencing the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But I would not have learned how to adapt and be resourceful. And for sure, I would not be on this stage. So Kaylee is now a healthy, vibrant 20-year-old. If you ask her about her day, she will emphatically say it was the best day ever. She has a scar across her abdomen, a mark of survival. When she was in grade 1, one of her classmates looked and said, Kaylee, that scar is so awful, it's going to give me nightmares. Kaylee didn't flinch. She shrugged, smiled, and skipped away. So some questions for you. Are you daring enough to skip away from what other people might think or say? Are you daring enough to break what isn't broken? Are you willing to remove any self-imposed limitations or beliefs? Because real growth doesn't happen on familiar ground. It happens when you travel into the unknown, even if it terrifies you. The real risk of playing it safe is never knowing who you were meant to become. Your story, your success, your impact are waiting for you in the unknown. Are you daring enough to journey into your uncharted territory? I truly hope so, and find your roar. Thank you. Thank you.